Okay, so we are going to discuss how the media projects the ideal male and female, or the perfect man or woman. Now, the media projects this ideal, society accepts it, and we're going to talk about what this ideal is and how it is impacting society. We can do this by taking a look at photoshopping. The way that advertisers Photoshop their ads suggests the way that men and women should look. So let's look at this Candy's ad. Britney Spears is in a Candy's ad. You can see, Britney Spears is very muscular. She exercises a lot. She's, been known in her career to spend just hours and hours making sure she's very toned. She's a very muscular woman. She's got, if you can see, her muscular calves, even in her knees. She's known to be very curvy. But yet, Candy's photoshopped this so that her waist is smaller, her legs are smaller, her calves are smaller, even her ankles stick out, right? And they, kind of got rid of the shadowing to make her muscles and her arms look bigger. So this is suggesting clearly that women are not supposed to be muscular, right? Muscular would mean manly or macho, and so women are supposed to look more feminine. So we need to take any of the muscle out and just make her look thin. Another ad with Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba is considered to be a very beautiful woman, and yet they still photoshopped her. They made her waist smaller. Her thighs are smaller, right? As you can see, they made her knee, made it look like the bone stuck out versus the real one. They made her hips smaller. They shadowed her breasts to make her boobs look larger. And my personal favorite is that they made her collarbone stick out. When a collarbone sticks out, it makes it look like you're thinner, right? You're more skeletal. Sometimes photoshopping goes overboard. Ralph Lauren, it was a big controversy when they published this ad, right? They took this model and clearly photoshopped her. She looks almost inhuman. And, we know if this actually existed, she wouldn't be able to walk. This model, she actually modeled a lot for Ralph Lauren. This is another ad with her, obviously more realistic photoshopping job, but she's also very thin in real life. What you're seeing is more and more models now making sure that they're thin because they're afraid that they're going to get fired. This model actually was fired for being too fat, right? Not thin enough, right? She said that she was told the clothing wouldn't fit her properly. She looks pretty good. I think so. So now what you're seeing is more and more models that are really, really thin. It's expensive to Photoshop, so it's much cheaper just to hire a model that is already that thin. Which moves us on to Ann Ward. Ann Ward won America's Next Top Model in 2010. She was that thin. The judge was able to put his hands completely around her waist and touch his fingertips, so she's very, very skinny, and this is a big controversy because, it's suggesting that America's model, right, the perfect model needs to be this thin. So what's happening now is magazines are actually having to airbrush the models to make them look heavier because models are becoming so thin and doing things to make sure they're so thin so that they get jobs that now they look too skeletal, and that's not something society wants to see either, even though that's what the media's been projecting for a long time now. It's not just women. They do it to men, too. As you can see, Justin Bieber, Calvin Klein ad, this is the before picture. They photoshopped, they had a lot of shadows, and they made his muscles look bigger, as you can see here, right, this arm muscle versus here. And same with here. They made his arm muscles stick out. Put a lot of shadow in there to make everything just kind of stick out, and made him look a lot more muscular, right? Men need to be muscular, women need to be thin. So if you don't look like one of these, fit into this category, then you could talk about what that does to a person, right? They feel like they don't fit the perfect mold. It's not just body. This is Prince William. This was a controversial magazine cover because this is what Prince William looked like. As you can see, he clearly does not have that much hair. But again, it's a suggestion that men and women can't age, right? Men, they can't age, they can't lose their hair. That's not sexy, right? That's not cover, cover guy or cover girl quality. So it's not, obviously it's not men. Women, right? They do things to make sure they don't age as well. Or at least they don't look like they're aging. So this is Twiggy. Twiggy was, she's kind of considered the first supermodel of all supermodels when she was a teenager. She's in her 70s now, so this ad was taken when she was in her 60s. She looks pretty good for being in her 60s, I'd say, right? Of course, Olay is suggesting that she's using this eye brightener, this eye illuminator to make her eyes illuminate. Olay also sells a lot of anti-wrinkle cream, so they're trying to get you to associate their brand with this woman in her 60s who looks really like she's in her 40s. The only problem is that when she did this ad with the same week that she did the photo shoot for this ad, this was a picture of her in a grocery store. As you can see, a lot different, right? She looks like someone in their 60s, or the way a woman in her 60s typically looks, right? As you get older, your skin sags, you get age spots of what she has. This was her with makeup on, okay, to show you the difference, right? So she looks a lot different, right? Even though these were taken the same time. So again, suggesting not only do women have to be thin, have perfect skin, they're not allowed to age, right? Same with men. Men are not allowed to age. They're supposed to be muscular and buff and have hair and, right, and look like this perfect ideal that the media is projecting. Obviously, right, sometimes it's not just clear skin. This is a really terrible photoshopping job, but I just wanted to show it as an example of you need to have perfect skin. And what is perfect skin? What does that mean? Aside from blemish-free, what does it mean? Well, it also means a certain color. Right here is a L'Oreal Beyonce ad. Beyonce, we probably could all agree, is gorgeous, right? Beyonce's beautiful. And I think people would say she's kind of perfect the way she is. I know she would probably say that as well. But, Beyonce has darker skin than this. They've clearly lightened Beyonce's skin so that she appears to be whiter. Right? This is whitening. It's not just Beyonce. Gabby Sidibe, she is an actress. She's been on shows like Empire. She was in movies. And she was on the cover of Elle as a cover girl, right? And it was a big deal because typically Elle has very model-looking women, thin women. And as a larger woman, she was very excited they were going to put a normal-sized woman on the cover. However, Gabby Sidibe has much darker skin than the cover, and she was very upset that they lightened her skin. Gabby tends to be very supportive of women of all body types. She's very outspoken about that, and yet they, suggested that in order to be a cover girl, you must have lighter skin. So you can, you can talk about the suggestion to girls and what this means. So let's talk about the impact of all of this. What is the long-lasting impact on our society of this ideal, right, or perfect, in quotes, male or female? Well, just to give you an idea of comparison of the average American model and the average American woman, right, there is a big difference. And so what happens? We have women trying to look like these models, trying to look like these cover girls, because that's the image they see all the time. And it's not just women, men too, right? Men look at themselves and feel like there is a mold that they're supposed to be fitting. So what happens? Well, we have things like anorexia, right? That is actually a Halloween costume, making fun of anorexia, which is terrible. We have things like bulimia, binge eating disorder. We have a lot of steroid use in men, trying to make sure they have larger muscles, and drug use in order to exercise longer. We have a lot of binge drinking to cope with this, and depression to cope with this idea that they don't fit this mold. And then, of course, body dysmorphic disorder, where people start to actually look in the mirror and see things that aren't there. Where you have girls who are starving themselves, guys who are doing things to themselves and look at themselves in the mirror and they think that they are fatter than they actually are, right? They look at the skin and think it's fat. So, one of the other impacts of this, aside from eating disorders and steroid use, is we have a lot of cosmetic surgery that goes in our country. In fact, we have a ton of cosmetic surgery, right? Almost 16 million cosmetic procedures a year, and $13 billion industry, make a lot of money off of it. And a lot of people do this in order to look this perfect image. So top surgeries for women, we have boob job, right? Women have to have larger breasts. Got to have a perfect nose, right? And so nose jobs. Liposuction, to suck out all the extra fat. We have eyelid surgery. Eyelid surgery is when they remove excess skin around the eyelids. It started out as a reconstructive surgery for older people who, as they got older, their eyelids drooped over their eyes and they couldn't see. But now it's become a popular surgery for younger people. They think they have fat eyelids. And then, of course, a facelift, because women are not supposed to age, right? So we need to lift that face and make it look younger. For men, some of them are similar, a little bit, some are a little different. Eyelid surgery is number 1, right? They need to feel like their eyelids aren't drooping, I guess. Number 2, neck lift, to keep that neck look younger. And nose job is number 3. Chin job, right, is to make them have a more chiseled chin, something that's supposed to be manly. And then liposuction. And also, just to show you, men do get breast augmentation surgery. It's actually a very popular surgery among teenage boys. So taking the extra skin or extra fat that is there and making it more chiseled looking. The ones that are starred are actually the top 4 surgeries, or among the top 5 surgeries for teenagers, right? Nose jobs, breast augmentation, liposuction for teenagers. And then the other most popular surgery for teenagers is actually getting their ears pinned back. They feel their ears are too large and stick out too much. And instead of waiting for them to grow up and their body to change and for maybe their head to get a little bit larger, they need to have their ears pinned back in teenage years. The American Society of Plastic Surgeons has no problem with this. In fact, they're perfectly fine with plastic surgery on teenage bodies that are still developing. In fact, this is what they talk about. They say common physical characteristics or concerns a teen may wish to correct, and they name, nose, ears, breasts, scarring. And the fact that they actually say teens frequently gain self-esteem and confidence when their physical problems are corrected, and in fact, successful plastic surgery may reverse the social withdrawal that so often accompanies teens who feel different. They're telling teenagers and young people that they're not good enough, right? That they're going to be an outcast if they don't do this. Which is why every year there are more and more plastic surgeries done. And I'll leave you with this stat. We have a lot of young people that are doing things to their bodies to look like the perfect woman and the perfect man. And it takes a toll. Doing these things to your body are permanent, or at least have long-lasting effects, right? Girls who develop anorexia, it can screw up their body. They can end up having problems getting pregnant in the future, having other female issues. Men using steroids and other drugs, again, can physically harm them. This is not just a light matter, but the media doesn't care, right? All they need to do is make money. They want to sell magazines, they want to sell products, and they're going to do it by manipulating you. So next time you see these images, realize that they're not real images. They've been photoshopped, they've been manipulated, and it's all to trick you. It's to trick you into believing that that is who you're supposed to be, when in reality we should all accept who we already are.